Let us now wait for the winner.
Yes, those are your votes as we continue to wait for the official results from the IEBC on the Kajiado Central By-election. Let's give you some pictures from Kajiado, live pictures from the county of Kajiado, from the Masai Technical Institute, Linda, where the vote tallying by the IEBC is currently ongoing. It has been a neck-and-neck affair, one of the most contested polls I've ever witnessed.
Indeed, the last time we spoke to Ian Wafula, of course, he's the one who's keeping an eye on what's happening there for us. While you're doing this, you can take a look at our super wall. Those are live pictures coming to you from Kajiado Central. That is the main tallying center. That is the Masai Technical Training Institute. The tallying center, of course, we're waiting for the IEBC to make that announcement. Who will be the MP-elect for Kajiado Central? Celebrations, of course, from some ODM members here. The last time we spoke to Ian Wafula, who's been covering this for us, there were celebrations from ODM members. Looking at the numbers, that gap was widening by the minute. And, of course, looking at some reactions as well on social media, there are indications that the now 38-year-old businessman in construction sector, that is Memusi Kanchory, may actually carry the day in this by-election. Remember, he defected from JAP after losing to Tutui in the nominations. He was actually the opposition's best bet to stop Jubilee's 2017 election vehicle from getting its first member of parliament. So for Memusi Kanchory, he may become, putting in mind, but when we look at the provisional results that have been given by the IEBC, he may be the MP-elect for Kajiado Central, of course, on a day that he is also celebrating his 38th birthday. Quite a very happy birthday for the man, I must say.
On your screen there, of course, a number of legislators are drawn from the CORD fraternity. They are seeming jubilant, of course, enjoying what they're hearing from the IEBC officials. And remember, this was a two-horse race. It was billed by political analysts as a kind of litmus test for 2017. Of course, the Jubilee Alliance Party, as we've told you, as we've reported, it was its first electoral test. It was its first, and we were hoping to get a win here. And ODM are trying to defend that particular seat. Coalition for Reforms and Democracy CORD is yet to lose a major by-election. So the leaders, Raila Odinga, the leader, will be watching this closely to just see how it goes. And from what we are seeing, we're waiting. From what we're hearing from Kajiado, we're waiting to hear from around 1 polling stations, and we're just working out the numbers and trying to just make sure we keep our ear on the ground and hear what the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission will be telling us on what's happening there.
So if indeed going by the numbers that provisional results that we are getting from IEBC, 38-year-old Memusi Kanchory, of course, beating Patrick Tutui of Jubilee Alliance Party. Let's listening to Ian Wafula, who has been covering this for us, trying to control the crowd there on his own. Ian Wafula, what's going on where you are? Lots of celebrations, I must say, from different people there.
Yes, Linda, lots of celebrations going on here, mostly, of course, from the Orange Democratic Movement, because they are preempting that their candidate, that is Elijah Memusi, has won. Majority of the people filled in this room are ODM members and also their supporters. Earlier on, initially, we had some of the Jubilee Alliance Party members, among them Kabando, being forced rather to move out of the room because the crowd here was teasing them. And so just because of a bit of that commotion, the Jubilee Alliance Party leaders had to leave the room, and they had to leave behind the Orange Democratic Movement leaders and their supporters celebrating. Of course, what you're seeing on the screen, the provisional results, that is Memusi 15,795. We also have Patrick Tutui with 15,107. Remember, Linda, those are provisional results, and we shall only get to know, we shall only get to have the winner once the returning officer announces the final results. Those are just provisional results, and ODM's Elijah Memusi is the one leading with a margin of about 600 or so. people are continuing to celebrate here. The mood is not as anxious as it was before. Remember earlier on, we were seeing the numbers changing from between 10 to 200. The room was quite tense. Everyone was quiet. No one knew no one could tell exactly where this seat is going to be. But given right now that we have around one more stream to go, it is almost obvious that Elijah Memusi will take the seat, but that is can only be confirmed when the returning officer announces the final results. Now, just as a reminder, the Kajiado Central By-election came about after the former member of parliament, that is Joseph Kaiseri, was nominated and also finally appointed to be the cabinet secretary for interior coordination of national government, and that is how this seat fell vacant. We had a total number of 3 candidates, among them Elijah Memusi, who is currently on top of that chart with a difference with about 15,700. We also have that is Patrick Tutui, who is second on the provisional results, and then we also have Nkushama, who was the third candidate. All what people are waiting for right now is for the results to be announced. In fact, they are chanting and urging the returning officer, that is Maurice Ligulu, to announce this result. They are becoming patient, and that is why there's a lot of noise in this room. Other than that, it is celebrations for the Orange Democratic Movement. Linda?
Thank you, Ian. Ian Wafula, they are coming to you live from Kajiado in the constituency of Kajiado Central, where we are waiting on the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission officials to tally those final numbers and indeed announce. But we here at KTN have tried to do some of those permutations to just find out who in Kajiado Central will be the groom and who will be the best man.
Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the numbers for you. The registered voters in Kajiado Central are 39,545. According to the information that we have from the IEBC, we had a voter turnout of 80%. That represents 31,426. The total number of votes, that would be 31,002. The difference now between Memusi and Tutui is 424. All right, so the difference between, let me just take that again. The difference between Memusi and Tutui is 688. So if the total number of voters, that is 39,426, and the total number of votes that have been counted up to now is 31,002, that is a difference of 424. So even if Tutui gets all the votes that are remaining, he will not be able to bridge that gap. And on that account, we are calling this for Memusi.
Yes, indeed. Those are the numbers here you're hearing from Linda. The total number of registered voters in Kajiado Central, 39,545. According to the IBC's statistics, 80% voter turnout is what has been experienced in Kajiado Central. That represents 31,426 votes. Now, the votes tallied so far is 31,002. The votes still out, 424. So all factors constant. If the voter turnout is, as the IBC says, 80%, it means 424 votes are still out. And the difference so far between Memusi and Tutui is 686. So all factors constant, Memusi Kanchory of ODM will be the next member of parliament for Kajiado Central.
Indeed, 38-year-old Memusi Kanchory of the Orange Democratic Movement is the MP-elect for Kajiado Central.
Those are live pictures coming to you live from Kajiado. Those are just IBC officials. They are trying to crunch out those numbers, the final numbers. The representatives or leaders from both sides waiting patiently there to just hear what is happening.
Let me take you through that again. Let me explain to you why we're calling it for Memusi. The total number of registered voters in Kajiado Central is 39,545. IEBC tells us that we had a voter turnout of about 80%. That represents 31,426. So total number of votes counted so far is 31,002. The difference between the people who cast their votes and the votes that are still out there is 424. Here's the thing. This is why we are calling it for Memusi. The difference between Memusi and Tutui is 688. So even if Tutui gets all the votes out there, he will not be able to bridge that gap.
Yes, indeed. Those are pictures celebratory, seemingly ODM leaders, squad leaders there, seemingly celebrating what they think is a win, and we are calling it Memusi Kanchory of ODM is headed for a win, just based on those numbers from the IBC. Let's listen in.
Results from Mailo Primary School code 083. Total number of registered voters 538. Number of spoiled ballot papers 0. Total number of votes cast 483. Number of rejected votes 0. The number of disputed votes 0. Number of rejected objected to votes 0. Total number of valid votes cast 483. Number of valid votes cast in favor of each candidate. Elijah Memusi Kanchory 220. Kuntai Kasuma 0. Sri Koinari Oletutui 260.
All right, the pictures on your screen there coming to you live from the Tallying Center, Kajiado Central By-election. That is the Maasai Technical Training Institute. Looking at the numbers on your screen, we can authoritatively say Memusi Kanchory is headed to be the next member of parliament for Kajiado Central. Looking at the numbers, he is the MP-elect. Let's explain why we're calling it Day for Memusi.
Indeed, Linda, total number of registered voters in this Kajiado Central parliamentary by-election is 39,545. Now, according to IBC statistics, voter turnout has been high, 80% on average. That translates to 31,426 votes. Now, the number of votes that have been tallied so far by the IBC is 31,002. Now, still out, votes still out, according to this, is 424. That is what the IBC is still waiting in order to call this particular by-election results. Now, the difference between ODM's Memusi Kanchory and JAP's Patrick Tutui is 668. Now, even if all factors constant, if 80% is a voter turnout for the remaining votes, if Patrick Tutui of JAP was to get all those votes, he would not catch up with Memusi Kanchory of ODM, and we are calling it on the ODM side. It is Memusi Kanchory headed for a win. It was a post that was obviously the immediate former MP, Joseph Nkaiseri, who resigned to take up that ministerial post as Interior Secretary. That is what occasioned this particular by-election. As it stands, it looks like ODM are going to successfully defend that particular seat, and it looks like it's going to be a false start for the newly formed Jubilee Alliance Party. And of course, we are still live in Kajiado. KTN's Ian Wafula is still there. We shall be going back to him to give us the latest.